Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reviewing I only picked up one quad, so be proud of me, of the Chanel Byzance collection. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I picked up quad at 328, and that is a Parure Cristal. I think I may be pronouncing that wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm probably more than positive I'm pronouncing that wrong. I gave myself a little trim. Well, I didn't cut my own hair, but you know, trimmed it yesterday because the ends were looking rough. So we gotta get the hair out of the face, you know what I mean? All right, so I only picked up one quad because you guys know that I am on a low buy this year. And so although I was tempted to pick up all of them, I was like, no, let me just pick up the one that I really like, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and start off by prepping my skin with the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. I am gonna use one pump of this because I'm gonna be using the Vita Aqua Lumiere foundation today for this look. I am trying to use mostly Chanel products, but there are some products I don't have from Chanel. Like I don't have their brow gel because I don't like it, and a couple of other products. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So this particular quad comes in limited edition packaging, and you get obviously your felt bag that we all know and love, and then you get the gold CCs on the cover. And then on the inside, this is like, I think the first time I've seen since I've been purchasing Chanel makeup that I've actually seen them change, like actively change the packaging, like not just the CCs, but I'm talking about like the pan, you see that? This is looks like hammered gold. It's beautiful. It has like this soft matte finish. It is like, you know, textured. Just trying to see if the camera's gonna pick that up. It's very, very nice. I think you guys are gonna be able to see it better like this. So the reason I ended up going with this quad was because to me, it was, I think, the most unique and one that I felt like I would wear the most. I was between this one and the one that had that emerald green shade, but I was like, other than the holiday season, when would I wear that? So I think that was my decisional factor in between the two. I'm not gonna lie, this ice blue was calling my name. It gave me major winter vibes. So we're gonna do some swatches and all that jazz. This was a little bit more expensive than their normal quads. Usually their quads retail for $68. I know, they're very expensive, I get it. All right, so I'm gonna be using the Vita Lumiere Aqua in shade 30. I should really be using a shade right above this because this is not my summer shade. This is just like my all year round shade, but it's what we got. I'm gonna be using a beauty blender. How cute is this? It's like their popsicle edition. Feels like their summer sponge from last year. Got mine in at Ulta, if you guys were wondering. Okay, I'm going to use about this much, and I will build it up as needed. And the reason I'm using this particular foundation is because it is hot. Honestly, if it was a little bit cooler, I would have used maybe my Ultra Latant. But let me just, for reference, the heat index today is 112. 112. Okay, good. I'm glad that sank in. So it's just beyond hot. And if you see me sweating in this video, just know I'm slowly suffering. I'm not like, I don't have I brought my animals. Well, my animals usually live inside, but what I mean is they usually like to lounge in the patio. They're inside today. They're not lounging anywhere but inside the house. They like lounging outside in the patio and relaxing. They don't want anything to do with this kind of heat. Not to mention that this kind of heat burns their little paws. So we keep them inside when it gets really hot like this. I can't remember the last time we had such an intense summer. It's been a while. We're used to the hundreds, like that's like pretty normal for Floridians, but 112, we haven't seen those kind of temperatures in a while. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with my Chanel corrector in rose, and I have been actually using this color to brighten underneath my eyes. I'm gonna use the narrow part of the sponge to blend that in. And I think it's been doing a really good job. Out of all the concealers I've tried, I think Chanel, like for brightening, I think Chanel has some of the best correctors for my skin type. I find that a lot of the times if I use a skin corrector or like a brightening concealer under the eyes, it tends to look a little crepey. And I think it's because I have that combination to oily skin, so it tends to clump up and crease even if I put powder. But I think Chanel has a pretty solid corrector line. I do enjoy it. It does look seamless. So I enjoy that it gives me just a smidge of brightness under the eyes. Okay, now let's move on to setting powder. I'm gonna set my face with the Chanel setting powder. I am using 20 Clair. It's this one though is before they changed the numbers. I know they recently like came out with a whole shade range, so the number may be a little bit different, but yeah, I'm using 20. So just setting my face. And I'm using a Real Techniques powder brush. I'm gonna be using my Chanel brushes, and we're gonna take out the blush brush, which is number 110, and we're gonna use this for some bronzer. I'm using my Chanel Le Beige's Sunkissed shade in medium, right? Yeah, Le Beige's Oversized Healthy Glow Sunkissed powder in medium, the longest name ever. So it's this oversized bronzer I hauled last year. I'm gonna go in with a light hand because this bronzer is very pigmented and I don't want, you know, I want a very light bronze. I can't tell you the restraint I had to have with this collection because I was very solid on getting those 2 quads, but I just can't, you guys. You know, I'm really trying to use up, you know, some palettes before I purchase palettes. And the holiday season is coming up, and you know, that's when all these beautiful limited edition eyeshadow palettes drop, and I'm like, ugh. It's hard. It's pretty hard. So I'm just doing a little bronzy bronze on my face just to warm up my complexion, because this overall foundation is a little too pale for me. And so we're just working that in. Okay, I'm wiping my brush on a Sonia G microfiber towel. By the way, real life, like this brush, I am literally plucking out hairs, bristles here that are shedding from this brush. I pulled out 4. This is terrible. Don't ever buy this brush. I'm like, no, that's it. This is, this is the 4th time I use this brush, and every single time I use it, it sheds. And for the price point, this isn't worth it. No. One of my subscribers who has this brush and has had it for a while told me that unfortunately it will not stop shedding. It will continue to shed with every use. Wonderful. I'm glad I wasted my money on that. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with some blush. I am using my Chanel blush in Rose Ecrin number 68. And I'm gonna use the same powder brush, and this is a fairly neutral pink blush. It is very pretty, and I thought because this is a cooler toned eyeshadow palette, I thought this would be an appropriate blush to use. And I'm just gonna apply that to my cheeks. And it's a shame because the brush itself does a good job at blending in the product, but if I'm paying this amount of money, I don't want my brush to shed. And you know, and it shouldn't. Like, I have much cheaper priced brushes that don't shed like this and do work just as well. So I'm really not impressed with this brush, and I think that they really need to go back to the drawing board with this one. I'm gonna put some blush on my nose, and I'm just using whatever's left on the brush to put some blush. Actually, you know what, let's go in with a little bit more. I'm feeling, you know, like a little blush heavy today. Okay, next let's go in with a little bit of highlight, and I'm gonna be using, where is it? This is their number 20 warm gold highlighting powder. I got this one from Nordstrom, actually, I think. Yeah, look how it's a very pretty, very subtle highlight. And I'm gonna just swatch it really quick for you. So here is a finger swatch, and then it is very subtle, which is why I picked it up. Almost the color of my skin, and it's just gonna provide the slightest sheen. I don't know if you can see that. Very, very subtle. And then I'm just gonna use the brush that comes in here. I actually enjoy the Half Moon brushes that come with their highlighters, because I find it's just the right shape for my cheekbones. And just applying a little bit of that. You really can't mess up with this highlighter. I think that if you're looking for something that packs a little bit more punch, this is not gonna be it. I think you would have to build it up a little bit too much. Chanel has plenty of highlighters that they come out with in the holiday season that are very potent. So I would wait for one of those if you're not into the subtle highlight. I'm going in with my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. This is the anti-aging formula, and I recently started using this, and I'm just gonna say I prefer the original formula. I'll tell you why. Because the anti-aging formula is much more moisturizing on the lid, I do have to wait for this to set before I can go in with eyeshadow. And I, most of the time, don't have that kind of time. So I prefer the original formula. I mean, I like the fact that it's moisturizing, don't get me wrong. I just don't like having to wait for it to set. So I'm gonna give this about 30 seconds to a minute to set, and I'll be right back. I used the Beauty Blender to apply my foundation and not the Chanel foundation brush. Oh well, sometimes these things happen. Okay, let's get to this quad. So in this quad, you get one little sponge applicator and you get a little brush. I'm not gonna lie, the brush is very soft, and I have used the sponge applicators before and they're great. So I do use the sponge. I haven't used this brush. It seems new to me, so I'll keep you posted if these are worth it in the future. Let's go ahead and swatch this beautiful palette. This shade right here looks like it's gonna be shade shifting, so I am super excited about that. Okay, this is like a satin finish. That's what I'm getting from these colors. And oh yeah, that's a topper shade. So you'll see it's not as opaque as the other ones, but the other three shades have a beautiful satin finish. So let me show you the finger swatches first. This is what it looks like on my finger, and as you can see, look, you see that topper shade? It's kind of chunkier. So we'll see. Let me swatch this here. I went counterclockwise, by the way, in case you guys were wondering. They swatch really well, actually. So here we have that peachy shade in the palette, beautiful. Here we have that like pinky mauve shade, and then we have the topper shade. Look at that stunning beauty. And then we have that chocolate brown shade. I am going to show you this in more direct sunlight. I literally had to switch rooms because that back room was so hot. I couldn't live my life. So back to where we were. So you can see that this is like a topper shade. It is beautiful. Well, you have that like I would say this is more like a soft rose pink, and this is that really light peachy shade, which I'm assuming you would use as like a highlighter shade, and then we have that deep chocolate brown shade. So all of these have like a metallic kind of like, these two have a metallic kind of finish to it. This one, it has a shimmer to it, very subtle, not metallic though. And then this is that beautiful topper shade. I mean, what I get from it, it goes like from an icy blue to like a silver to like a white, kind of in that opal-esque. That's what it's giving me, opal-esque kind of vibes. Okay, so we're going to go in with the retractable 200 brush that came in that little set I hauled, not, you know, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, a month ago. We're gonna be using this all over shader brush, and I'm gonna go into the lightest shade. I'm testing this out, so I want to see how potent this shade is, okay? Because, okay. All right, so I'm gonna use this as a base. It's not too bad. One layer though, because I have a feeling that this is gonna pack a punch once I go ahead and layer it. And I don't want to layer it because I'm actually going to use this on the brow bone as a highlight for the overall look. And I'm like going very lightly into the shade and just putting that all over the eyes. I'm going to move you guys a little bit closer so you can see. Applied a very light layer of that first peachy shade. It's the lightest shade in the palette. Next, I'm gonna go in with, I have another retractable brush here, and I am gonna go ahead and use, it's the number 201. So, actually no, I lied. I'm just gonna use the other side of the number 200 brush, which is like this little blender dome looking brush, and I'm gonna go into that mauve shade, and this is the one I want to apply all over the lid and into the crease. You know, I find this to be ethereal. This palette, that's what it is. It's ethereal. It's gorgeous. And I have to say it blends really easily. I do not know why my camera is going blue, but it's really starting to make me angry. I am sorry. There is the perfect amount of light in this room, so there's no reason why this camera should be going blue, but okay. Like, look at that. That is stunning. It is, I would say, the perfect fall pink. This is the perfect fall pink. It has like a touch of brown in it. It's like that perfect balance, I think. That's beautiful. Okay, then I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna try this two ways. I'm gonna use the topper shade with my finger, and then I'm gonna use it with a brush to see how this is gonna work out. I'm also wiping the brush on the back of a towel, a clean towel, because I want to blend out the edges here. I'm gonna go in again with the other side of this. I'm gonna go into that lighter shade, and I'm just gonna highlight my brow bone right now before we go into the topper shade. Oh yeah, this works perfectly as a highlighting shade. Very subtle, beautiful, and it blends so that's what I'm doing. I'm blending because I don't want there to be kind of like a separation between these two colors, so I'm just separating that. It's stunning. Okay, let's go in with that topper shade. So I'm gonna use my finger and a brush. So I'm gonna use a 201, has this little brush, not to be confused with the pointed end of this one. I'm gonna use this side, and I'm gonna go into that topper shade, and we're gonna do one side with a brush, one side with our finger. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna apply this to the center of the lid with a brush, and then that way you guys can determine what finish you guys like best. I will also let you know which one I like best. I think that's actually really pretty. Very well thought out, this color. So this with a brush, I think you're gonna get the least amount of impact. Let's go in with the finger on the other side. I'm using my ring finger and digging into that color. And then we are going to, you guys, I had to actually zoom you out because my camera is being really dumb. I'm gonna have to upgrade real soon. Okay, you get so much more impact with your finger. This is just one layer. I'm gonna build this up just for the sake of this video, but I like just that. And here is a second layer. That is really, really pretty. Now this is finger brush. You can obviously, we're gonna blend this because hello. You can blend this out, but I'm just gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna go back in and put this topper shade all over my lid. So if you blend it out, it looks beautiful. So you get that you can see all the colors, and then this is very subtle with a brush. I'm gonna go in with the shade all over my lid because it's that pretty. So I'm just swiping it with my finger. I can't get enough of this topper shade. I actually haven't been this excited about a topper shade since the Tom Ford Baby, I think it's called that Baby Quad that was like discontinued. And everybody was very upset about it. I love that. I love that. Okay. Now I'm gonna go in with the pointed tip, the pointed brush in the 201 retractable dual-ended brush. We're gonna go into the chocolate brown shade, and I'm gonna use this as a liner. And we're just gonna smudge that on the outer corner of the eye to create some dimension. I have to say the shades are very buttery, they're very soft, and they're very easy to blend. This is the kind of formula I'm used to with Chanel. Do keep in mind that this is a lighter it's lightly pigmented with the option to build up. I prefer palettes like that because I like to have a little bit more control when doing my eyeshadow. But I do know that there's some of you who prefer a heavier pigmented palette, and that's okay. I think that this may not be for you because you do have to build this up a little bit to get a bit of impact, not too much. So I've applied a very light layer of the brown, and I have built it up ever so slightly. On this side, I find that I've used a little bit more because I went in with my finger with the topper shade, which just, it gave it a lot of impact. So I went a little bit heavier on this side with that brown shade. Now let's apply some mascara. I have my Chanel La Base, so we're just gonna prime my lashes with this. And now let's go in with some of the Volume de Chanel mascara in Teint Noir. All right, I'm just using a sample that I have to apply my mascara. I'm sorry if you can hear the AC in the background. I just want you to know that I try my best. I really did try my best to film this without having the AC turn on and ruin the video. I literally can't. I'm melting. I am melting. I can't. I'm sorry. Also, my toddler, if you want to keep her happy and quiet in the background for the sake of this video, you turn on that AC, okay? My child does not like to be hot. I'm not gonna apply mascara to the bottom lashes because I actually prefer my mascara just on my top lashes. Okay, Next, let's go in with lips. So I'm gonna be using my Chanel lip liner in Peachy Nude. And the lip liners have like a little brush at the end. I don't use them, but they are convenient if you want to smudge out your lip liner. So I'm doing like a bit of a wash of color with this very, you know, light creamy. I'll swatch this. I'll tell you, you'll see now why I chose this. This is like a very cool toned lip liner, and I think it goes really well with the quad. As you can see, it is a matte finish. So here is a better swatch. I did a wider swatch, sorry about that. All right, so I've applied a light layer of that on my lips, and now we're gonna go in with my Rouge Coco Flash in number 54 Boy, and we're gonna apply this on top. I think this is a really nice combination, and we get like a little balance of, you know, a little bit of cool tones, a little bit of mauve, which I think matches perfectly with the overall like shades in here, and then still leaving the topper shade as like the va-va-voom aspect of it. Let's brush up the brows. I'm using the retractable Chanel brush in 207, and this one has like a brow brush on one side and a spoolie on the other. So we're gonna use the spoolie. I told you guys I had like the full retractable collection of the Chanel brushes, and I love this stuff. Okay, like these retractable brushes are really good. So I am not quite sure what in the world happened to that blush brush they gave us in that set, but it's terrible, and I don't recommend it to a soul. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my Kosas brow gel in medium brown, just to give my eyebrows a little life. I also don't like the Chanel brow gel, so that's why I'm using this one. And we're just kind of combing them through, very subtle color. And this is the completed look. I think it's very icy, very frosty. I don't really consider this a fall palette more than I do a winter palette. Like, that's what it's giving me. It's giving me winter vibes. I see myself wearing this definitely in the month of December and January, when it's typically cold in most parts of the world. It snows except for Florida, but it does get cold here. So we do drop into the 30s during the winter time, which is, for Floridians, it's like, that's unheard of. That's, our body goes into full rejection mode. We don't understand those kind of extreme winter weathers at all. Like, hurricane, we're solid. Floods, solid. You check up on us when you notice in the news that it has gone very cold in Florida. Yeah, that's when Floridians are all out of sorts. Okay, so let me know what you think about this look. Let me know what you think about this quad. Let me know if you picked it up. So remember that on this side, I used the topper shade with a brush. So you see it's much more subtle what you're getting there. And then on this side, I used my finger. I prefer the finger swatch with the topper shade versus the brush. But I can see if you're going for like that clean girl, very minimal look, that you would prefer the side with the brush on it. But let me know what you think. I love to hear your thoughts. Leave me your questions down below of this new quad. I thoroughly enjoy it. Thank you so much, you guys, and see you next time. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful. I am sorry with the back and forth with the background. I don't know if that bothers you guys, but I had to switch rooms. I feel a little bit better because the AC is running, but I was dying slowly in that room. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you next time. Bye.